guys, so I thought I'd just hop on here quickly to go over this new Mythic ring. It's the Marken Ring of Majesty. Gain 100 weapon and spell damage and 1157 armor for every set you are wearing at least 3 or more pieces of. Our current bonus is 300 weapon and spell damage, 3471 armor. My initial review, and maybe I'm missing something, so keep that in mind, but my initial review is this is really not that great. You can get much better stuff with just a different setup. So let's just do small buff up. I don't know what bonuses we have here, doesn't really matter. But this is what we're kind of looking at. The armor is 23.6 and weapon damage. With a light attack, will be over 6,000 weapon damage. You know, we do have decent penetration as well. But the point of the... And I'm not saying it's bad. It's not bad. But you can get much better stats with different setups. And so what we're doing is we're wearing the ring. We're also doing a 3-piece agility. And we're doing 3 pieces of trainee, which you could do 3 different pieces of a different set, but I thought, okay, why not? And then we're doing 3 pieces of stoons. And then I'm also running a monster set, just because the recovery on this was very rough. So you could do a 5-piece set, get rid of the monster set, and do a 5-piece set, like 5-piece stoons or something. 5-piece witch knight, 5-piece your face. I don't know. You could change up the build, but the point is this is, unless I'm missing something, this is the maximum that you're going to get from this set. The 300 weapon and spell damage and 3471 armor. That's your maximum bonus that you're going to get from this set. And so I get that there's other sets, like you could wear a 3-piece set that's going to give you 2 lines of weapon damage and give yourself a little bit more damage. Or you could go the route of giving yourself more armor, but it's not going to get much better than this. And I'm not going to say that this is bad, because I've gotten a lot of kills on this. I've survived on this setup, but I still think that there are better setups. I'm going to show 2 of them right now, and of course we're probably going to get long load screens. But considering the amount of like RNG that it took to get this ring and the amount of work to get this ring, maybe that's why I'm just a little disappointed that it's not better. I think maybe the weapon damage is fine, and maybe you could do like a Vadishran. You couldn't do the agility though if you did Vadishran. I don't know. Maybe on the back bar do a Vadishran 2H and give yourself slightly more weapon damage. But I just think that there are better setups, and I'm going to show you one with no mythic item and one with a mythic item, and it's a little bit apples to oranges, but you know, bear with me here. And so like that armor was like 23,000, a little over that, a little 23.6 or whatever it was. So I like the idea of a set being added that's going to give you both weapon damage and armor. I think that's a great idea. I when I first saw this set on the PTS, I was like, ooh, I think I'm going to try to run that. I think that is going to be something that I'm going to put on, like, you know, my warden or something. And like I said, I could be missing something, that like there's some setup that somebody else much smarter than me is going to come out and blow me away, and I'm going to be like, okay, when you set it up that way, it's actually pretty damn good. But my limited knowledge, that's as good as I could get. And obviously you could get a little bit higher by running like a sword instead of a maul. I get that. I didn't want to recreate a agility sword. But let's just go ahead and buff up. And obviously this is a different class, different armor. But it's like, this is no mythic. And here we go. Weapon damage is a little bit higher. Armor is a little bit higher. On the back bar, armor is much higher. And this setup is a very similar, we're wearing different foods, so different stamina recovery, but it's a very similar setup, but with no mythic. And so what this is 5 pieces of Pariah, 5 pieces of New Moon Acolyte, and 2-piece Bloodspawn. Almost anybody can do this setup. No mythic required. And you're gonna be very tanky because, of course, Pariah, the lower your health goes, the higher armor you get. Up to 9,969. So especially on the back bar, when we're already at 32, you're gonna get a lot of armor on this build. And depending on your armor traits on your body pieces, you know, you could get higher armor, and then of course Bloodspawn, you'll get even more armor. So this is a very tanky setup, and its weapon damage isn't going to blow you away, but it's still higher weapon damage. Even with the light attack, you're still getting way over 6k weapon damage. Continuous, obviously, will add more weapon damage. And so I feel like this set with no mythic is a better setup. Just New Moon and Pariah. And so it's like, I feel like the mythic item, it's a mythic item. I feel like it should blow this setup out of the water, or at least be better. Maybe not blow it out of the water, but I feel like if you are running a mythic, it should at least be better. At least on the stat page, you know what I mean? I really think that they should up the armor value just to give you maybe just like overall 2k more value with the setup that I have, where you're running like at least 3 different sets. But I'm also going to show you something else, another build with a different mythic that again is much better than the Ring of Majesty, Markin's Ring of Majesty. And so we're going to get it on my other Stamina Warden. Yeah, I have way too many characters, I get it. I just can't bring myself to delete them. I spend a lot of time leveling these guys. But this setup, and obviously, like I said, it's apples to oranges. This is going to be a dual wield setup compared to a 2H setup. So it's not going to be exactly the same. I get that. But just bear with me through the load screens. I'm not going to edit this down, because I'm just going to upload this to YouTube as soon as I'm done with it. And so let's buff up here, get our armor, get our little Betty thing. Okay. And so right here, we already have slightly more resistances, way more weapon damage, and this is before any kind of light attack or any kind of proc of anything. Obviously the penetration's down, but you can mess with that depending on your setup, depending on your weapon traits. And so it's like this right here is way better than the Ring of Majesty. And we're running literally an old set that nobody runs, Eternal Vigor. Nobody runs this. Who runs this set? Eternal Vigor. We're running the Gaze of Sithis, which of course gives you 4,000 armor. It takes away your block mitigation, but you know what? If you dodge roll like a crazy madman, then you're not going to worry about blocking. And then obviously, and we're wearing Deadland's Assassin as far as this setup goes. And then 1-piece Molokina just to give us a little bit more weapon damage. And then on the back bar, we're going to run Master Staff, which with the change, let's go over to Dragonstar Arena. Is this it? Yeah. So reduces the cost of destructive touch, blah, blah, blah. Increase your weapon and spell damage. It gets over, I don't remember what it is at purple or gold, but at blue, 565 for 4 seconds. And I still need to farm it because I don't have the Ice Staff is the one that I want to run on this guy, because we are a Warden. We're just wearing a normal Eternal Vigor Ice Staff right now. But it's like before a light attack and before a Master's staff, 7,000 weapon damage before continuous attack. And the armor is the same value, basically, as the Ring of Majesty. So that was just 2 quick builds showing what I think is a much better setup than the Ring of Majesty. I think if the Ring of Majesty wants to be a viable thing, it needs to have more armor. Like, if I was wearing the Ring of Majesty and I had just like 6k weapon damage after my Major Brutality proc, but then I had like 27, 28, 29k armor, I'd be like, ooh, I don't care that the weapon damage is lower, better armor. And I get you could mess with sets, but let me know what you guys think. Do you think the Ring of Majesty is good? Am I just absolutely missing something? Or is it just kind of a meh mythic, like so many other mythics that have come out? Let me know what you guys think.